Thank you, His Grace Ramananda Kanaya Prabhu, for brief introduction. Thank you all the Vaishnavas assembled here. With your blessing, let me do the seva today given for the chapter 19. Chapter 17, the past tense of Lord Chaitanya. Before that, I will start with the prayers. Kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Varadari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Jabihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitya Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitya Gaur Hari Bo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Oh, your voice is a bit low.
Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshu Unmitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Tatpapatam Aham Mande Shri Gurun Dinapadanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitaname. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Sutani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Gaura Hari Nitai Gaurango Gaura Hari Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So with this note, I will start today's session. Thank you, Raman.
Prabhu, your voice is a bit low. I don't know, maybe it's for me only or others also. Because I'm in India, maybe signals are not that strong here. I don't know.
It's low, Prabhu.
Others, the voice is clear. Others,
No, it's a
Someone can
little
confirm.
bit low, Prabhu.
Okay, I will
you can
check.
either
once.
come in between. It was fine. Suddenly it went low.
Maybe it was net issue, Prabhu. Now it is okay.
Yes, Prabhu. This voice
Okay,
you can speak
maybe
whole throughout the class
in between
at
I
this
went.
pace.
Okay, thank you. So before starting today's session, I just pray to Guru Varga and the previous Acharya so that I can do this seva as a service, as a purification for self. Ajanulambito bhujo kanakavadato sankirtanaika pitaro kamalayataksho Vishwambaro Dishavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagatpriya Karo Karunavataro Vande Jagatpriya Karo Karunavataro Vande Jagatpriya Karo Karunavataro Jayatam Surto Pangor Mama Mandamatirgati Matsarva Swapadambujo Radha Madana Mohan. So here, author Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in the Adilila 13.50 that Prabhura Lilamrita Tenha Kaila Ashwadana Tandra Bhukta Shesha Kichu Karya Charvana. He says that he is simply trying to chew the remnants left by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And also in the Madhya Lila 9.363, Kaviraj Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Caitanya Chandrera Lila Aghada Gambiram Pravesha Karita Nari Sparshi Rahitira. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an unfathomable ocean. It is not possible for me to enter into it. Simply standing on the shore, I am but touching the water. So these are the verdicts, or these are the instructions, or these are the messages from the great authors. So it is a causeless mercy only that even though there is no qualification, but just by the mercy of previous acharyas, by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we are being here in this platform. So once again, my heartfelt obeisances to His Grace Ramananda Kanaya Prabhu, because this he started to read Srimad Bhagavatam over Zoom platform. So today's verse, the chapter is Adilila, chapter 17, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his youth. So before starting my verses, which is assigned for this week, so just I will go through the overview, then I will go into the particular slokas which is given today. So here, verse 1 to 9, Lord Shri Gaurachandra's youthful splendor. So in the previous sessions, various exalted devotees, they have glorified. So just to refresh, so from verse 10 to 19, Lord Chaitanya's mercy on various devotees. And then verse 20 to 33, the Lord explains the Hare Nama, verse to Shuklamra Brahmachari. Then verse 34 to 59, the episode of Gopala Chapala. Now, from verse 60 to 120, there are 16 more incidents in the Lord's youth. So these 16 incidents we were discussing quite some weeks, and today also I will be continuing, and after that also some more devotees will be concluding in the upcoming sessions. What are those 16 incidents? So what are the episodes? So first episode was Brahmana cursing the Lord to be bereft of material happiness. The second, punishing of Mukunda Datta. The third, anger upon Adilila. And the fourth, Ramadasa on writing Ramadasa on the Murari Gupta's forehead. And the fifth was drinking from Sridhara's iron pot. And sixth, blessing Haridas Thakura. And seventh, vanquishing Sachimata's offense. The eighth, the Lord's response to Nama Aparadha. And the ninth, praising Murari Gupta. The 10th instant mango tree bearing fruits throughout the year. And the 11th, the Lord stopping rain. And the 12th, mood of Narsimha Deva. So up to 12th incident is various devotees spoken. And the further we will be covering in today's session, the 13th onwards. The mood of Shiva. A mendicant dances with the Lord. And the 15th, the Lord bestows mercy on an astrologer. And the 16th is mood of Balarama. So these incidents we will be seeing from verse 99 onwards. So there, in summary, what author wants to mention, that I will go through it, then we will go to the slokas and the translation purport and the important message from the Srila Prabhupada purpose. So verse 99 to 100, it talks about the mood of Lord Shiva. Once a devotee of Lord Shiva, chanting of Shiva's qualities, came to Lord Chaitanya's house, where he began dancing and playing his damaru. Then Lord Chaitanya adopted the mood of Lord Shiva. Got on the man's shoulder, they danced together for a long time. So here, further from verse 101 to 102, once a mendicant came to beg alms from the Lord's house, but when he saw the Lord dancing, he also began to dance, being favored by love of Krishna. And from verse 103 to 104, once an astrologer came there who was said to know everything, past, present, and future. Lord Chaitanya received him with all honor and said, "Please tell me who I was in my previous birth." The astrologer immediately began to calculate. So verse 105 to 107, astrologer's vision. Through calculation and meditation, the all-knowing astrologer saw the greatly effulgent body of the Lord, which is the resting place of all the unlimited Vaikuntha planets. Seeing Lord Chaitanya to be the same absolute truth, the astrologer was confused, astonished. He remained silent. But when the Lord again put the question before him, he replied. So verse 108 to 109, astrologer replies, "In your previous birth, you were the shelter of creation, the Supreme Lord, full of all opulences. You are now the same personality of Godhead. Your identity is inconceivable, eternal happiness." So verse 110 to 111, Lord Chaitanya smiling said, "I think you do not know what I was. For I know that in my previous birth, I was a cowherd boy and gave protection to the cows and cows. Because of that, I have now become the son of Brahmana." So verse 112 to 114 talks about the astrologer further says, "What I saw in meditation was full of opulence, and therefore I was confused. I am certain that your form and the form I saw in my meditation are on one and the same. If I see any difference, this is an act of your Maya. Whoever you may be, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you." Then the Lord mercifully gave him love of Godhead, Prema. And the verses 115 to 120, mood of Balarama. Once in a Vishnu temple, the Lord began calling very loudly, "Bring some honey." Understanding his ecstatic mood, Nityananda Prabhu brought a pot of Ganges water. After drinking the water, Lord Chaitanya became ecstatic and began to dance. Everyone saw the Yamuna Akarshana Leela. Advaita Acharya saw him in the form of Balarama, and the Vanamali Acharya saw a golden plow in his hand. The devotees all assembled and danced for 12 hours. So these are the some of the overviews, and then we will go into the details, the sloka by sloka and the translation purport. Verse text 99, Adilila chapter 17, text 99. आराधीना शिव भक्त शिव गुण गाय प्रभु र अंगाने नाचे दामुरु बजाय. On another day, a great devotee of Lord Shiva chanting the Lord Shiva's qualities came to Lord Chaitanya's house, where he began dancing in the courtyard and playing his damaru, a musical instrument. Verse 100. Then the Lord Chaitanya adopted the mood of Mahesha Avesha Hela Sachiranandana Taraskande Chadi Nitya Kaila Bahu Kshana. Then Lord Chaitanya adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulder, and thus they danced together for a long time. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, for he is the Shiva also. According to the philosophy of Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva, Lord Shiva is non-different from Lord Vishnu. But still Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu. Just as yogurt is not nothing but milk and yet is not milk nevertheless. One cannot get the benefit of milk by drinking yogurt. So similarly, one cannot get salvation by worshipping Lord Shiva. So here, Srila Prabhupada used the analogy that, of course, Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, there is not much difference because yogurt comes from the milk. But here, Prabhupada used the analogy that we cannot say that by taking the yogurt, I have drunk the milk. But in the essence, it is there. So similarly, one cannot get the benefit of milk by drinking yogurt. Similarly, one cannot get salvation by worshipping Lord Shiva. So that is the message. So Vaishnavana Meta Shambhu, we have high regards, high respect. Vaishnavas, they give topmost obeisances to Lord Shiva. But here Prabhupada is clarifying that the analogy of milk and curd. But one should not therefore think that by worshipping Lord Shiva, one is worshipping Lord Chaitanya. That would be mistake. So Prabhupada is correcting that. So many people in South India, they think that Lord Shiva is samam bonam, he is above everything. But that here Prabhupada corrects it, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than combined form of Radha and Krishna, and Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. Verse 101. Aradhina eka bhikshuka aila magite prabhura nitya deki nitya lagila karite. On another day, a mendicant came to beg alms from the Lord's house, but when he saw the Lord dancing, he also began to dance. Prabhu sangera nitya kare parama ullasa prabhu tare prema dailam prema rase bhashim. He danced with the Lord because he was favored by love of Krishna. Thus, he flowed in the mellows of love of Godhead. Verse 103. Aradhina Jyotisha Sarvagna Eka Aila Kahare Samana Kari Prabhu Prashna Kailam. On another day, an astrologer came who was said to know everything, past, present, future. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received him with all honor and put this question before him. So here, although the Brahmana appeared at Lord Chaitanya's house as a beggar, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received him with great respect because he was qualified Brahmana who knew the astrological signs perfectly. Although Brahmana would go door to door just like beggars, they were honored as very respectable guests. So this is very important. Even in just few decades before, even now also in villages, this custom is followed. Even the beggars come with the due respect and to that beggar or Brahmana, the householders give the alms, maybe some grains or some whatever food items are there. So here Prabhupada mentions that the greatest benefit was that a householder could save a great deal of money by money from being spent on doctor's bill, because the Brahmanas, aside from explaining past, present and future, could ordinarily cure all kinds of disease simply by giving instructions and some medicine. Thus, no one was bereft of the benefit for the benefit of the first class physician, astrologer and priest. So this is our culture, this is our system, that anybody like any doctor or any astrologer or any priest comes to the house, even though how much poor he may be, but he gives something in return. So that is our custom, that is our culture. If they are actually trained as perfect brahmanas, they can save society from rogues and ruffians. Indeed, people can live happily under the protection of qualified brahmanas. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita 4.13 gives special stress to the division of society. Chaturvarnam maya shreshtam guna karma vibhagasha. Unfortunately, some people are now claiming to the brahmanas simply by birthright with no qualification. Therefore, the entire society is in chaos. So here we can see from the purport, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that how by respecting the astrologer, how by respecting the brahmanas, the human society can be happy, peaceful, blissful, without any disease. So in current situation, even we have seen even just last 2 years how in the COVID, many devotees or anybody for that matter spent so much of money. Why? Because we could not cure at home, but we went to the hospitals and we spent so much of money. So here Prabhupada is giving message that if we take care of brahmanas, if we take care of the like whatever varnashrama system Lord has established, then automatically everyone will be peaceful and disease free. And the verse 104. Ke achilun ami purva janma ka gani ganite lagila sarvagna prabhu vakya sunim. Please tell me who I was in my previous birth. The Lord said, please tell me by your astrological computations. Hearing the words of the Lord, the astrologer immediately began to calculate. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that herein we find, however, that after hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, the astrologer immediately began his calculations. This was not a facade. He actually knew how to ascertain one's past life through astrology. So astrology is many devotees they believe, and one should believe also, because astrology talks about the past, present, and the future. And a still existing treatise called the Bhrigu Samhita describes a system by which anyone can immediately get information about what he was in the past and what he is going to be in the future. So Prabhupada emphasizes that if anyone wants to know really the past and the present and the future, we should read Bhrigu Samhita. And in the Bhrigu Samhita, everything is given. And further, in the present day, however, no one can get justice, medical treatment, astrological help, or essential enlightenment without money. And since people are generally poor, they are bereft of benefits of all these great signs. So here, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is not an ordinary book. It is a great science. And all the scriptures, whatever Purana, Shastras are there, it is a lot of hidden science is given. All the treasury is there in the pages of the scriptures like Bhrigu Samhita, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Caritamrta. So because we are bereft of all this, that's why we are facing so many problems. We can see that even the children are getting so many diseases, and there is no guarantee that the a boy or a youth can stay long for 100 years. Nowadays, any disease can come at any time and we can leave the body. But in olden days, it was not like that. It is only the like after going through all the phases, people used to like see in the case of Rama Raja. Why we want to have Rama Raja? Because in the kingdom of Lord Rama, no one used to die passing through all the phases. Like if in the society, if a child is dying in front of parents, how much trouble it is there for the parents. But it is happening in the Kali Yuga. The children are dying in front of parents. But in Rama Raja, it was not like that. That if that happened, that was a great like question to the king, to the society leader who is running the society. So such is our scripture. So further in verse 105, it mentions Gane dhane deke sarvagna maha jyotir maya ananta vaikunta brahmanda savara ashraya. Through calculation and meditation, the all-knowing astrologer saw the greatly effulgent body of the Lord, which is the resting place of all the unlimited Vaikuntha planets. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the Vaikuntha world or spiritual world, Vaikuntha means without anxiety. And in the Bhagavad Gita 8.20, it mentions that Paras Tasmat tu Bhavanya Avyakta Vyaktat Sanatana Yasa Sarveshu Bhuteshu Na Astu Na Vinashyati. So here, as there are many planets within the material world, there are many millions of planets called Vaikuntha Lokas in the spiritual world. All these Vaikuntha Lokas or superior planets rest on the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. Yasha Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti. The Brahman effulgence emanating from the body of the Supreme Lord creates innumerable planets in both the spiritual and material world. Thus, these planets are creations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The astrologer saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be very same personality of Godhead. We can just imagine how learned he was, yet he was traveling door to door, just like an ordinary beggar for the highest benefit of human society. So we can see in our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he was not having any dearth of knowledge. He was having full of knowledge, everything. He could have lived very nice life. He would have go back to Godhead, but he was so compassionate. Even though he was a great exalted pure devotee, so what he has done, he has accepted the sannyasa and given the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam to the whole world. So that's why we are, by the mercy of pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, we could be able to relish Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Caritamrta. So that's why anytime any brahmachari or any sannyasi or anybody comes to our house, with due respect and gratitude, we need to welcome them, we need to serve them, however poor we may be. But our bhava, our devotion is very, very important. So in the villages, even now also, anybody comes, we give the grains, we give some food item so that he blesses. So such is our parampara. So whenever sadhu comes, we have to, as a Vaishnavas, as a devotees, we should give shelter to them. We should, whatever with Yatha Shakti, we should we should serve them so that they blesses us. Actually, it is beneficial to the grahastas, householders. So that's why it is not that the sannyasis or maharajas come just for entertainment purpose. No, they want to liberate us. So that's why they come. That's why they go door to door and they ask for alms so that they can engage. And that's how the Brahmana in the society, even in few decades before, when we were children, when we go to the summer vacation in the villages, we could see that our parents, our father, somebody Brahmana used to come and they don't used to ask, okay, you give me that. They come and we used to give the food grains and whatever bare minimum necessities are there. So that is how the culture it is. But now as the age passing, we have become very selfish. Grasta means me, my wife and my children. That is the end of it. But actually in olden days, people used to have joint families. They used to relish each other's relationship. But nowadays it is go as day and day, we are seeing that there is no much joint families, only divide and rule. That's how it is there. Further verse 106. Parama Tattva, Parabrahma, Parama Ishvara, Dekhi Prabhura, Murti Sarvagna, Aila, Pamparam. So seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the same absolute truth, the Supreme Brahman, personality of Godhead, the astrologer become confused. So just imagine, so even the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the combined form of Radha and Krishna. This astrologer, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks question, he become confused because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is telling that I am covered by Krishna. So further in the purport, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Mata Sarvam Pravartate. Everything begins from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Living Entity. Therefore, whatever exists, whether matter or Supreme Living Entity, Therefore, whatever exists, whether matter or spirit, is all but an emanation from the Supreme Person or the Supreme Life. The modern scientist theory that life begins from the matter is nonsense. So Prabhupada condemns the modern science. Both matter and life begins from life. Unfortunately, the scientists do not know this scientific fact. They are drifting the darkness of their so-called knowledge. So here, how the scriptural knowledge help us to elevate ourselves from the lower modes to the higher modes. But nowadays, we can see that the education system is gone to the dogs because we are sending children thinking that they will become the like knowledgeable, but actually, unfortunate situation other than Gurukulas, whatever mission schools or whatever international schools or whatever schools we are sending, there the knowledge is what true knowledge has to be given, that is not given. It is actually, it is brainwashing. Sometimes children ask, what is the use of study? But as a parent, I am unable to answer. It is true, but it is like garbage in, garbage out. This knowledge is only to earn the bread and butter, which is actually easily available by just having the farm community, by serving the mother cow. We can get the best food and best shelter. But unfortunately, we accepted this and we are struggling day in, day out. And that's why Prabhupada condemns the scientific way of working. But actually, if Krishna is not there in the center, then whatever that knowledge is there, that is useless. Verse 107. Balite na pare kichu mona haila Prabhu punha Krishna kaila kahita lagila. Purport. Struck with wonder, the astrologer remained silent, unable to speak. But when the Lord again put the questions before him, he replied as follows. Purva janme chila tumi jagata ashaya paripurna Bhagavan Sarveshwar Yamayam. My dear sir, in your previous birth, you were the shelter of all creation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of all opulences. The astrologer is replying to the Lord. Further, Purve Yache Chila Tumi Ebaha Serupam Durvi Neya Nityananda Tomara Swarupa. You are now the same personality of Godhead that you were in your previous birth. Your identity is inconceivable, eternal happiness. So in the purport, by the power of astrological science, one can ever ascertain the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is so identified by its symptoms. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is identified by the symptoms mentioned in the Shastras. It is not that anyone and everyone can become God without proof from the Shastras. Again, here, Prabhupada is emphasizing that so many people said that I am God, you are God, everyone is God. That is condemned here. So there should be some symptoms. So like all the symptoms, all the references are there in the Shastras and Puranas like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Caritamrta. Without the symptoms, whoever says he is a God, so actually Prabhupada says that if you reverse it, is a dog. And further verse, Prabhu Hashi Kailam, Tumi Kichu na Janila, Purve Ami, Achilana Jatita Goyela. When the astrologer was speaking so highly of him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped him and began to smile. My dear sir, he said, I think you do not know very clearly what I was. For I know that in my previous birth, I was a covered boy. Gopagrehe Janma Chile Kabira Rakhala Sei Punya Haila Ebe Brahmana Choyala. In my last birth, I was born in the family of cohort man, and I gave protection to the calves and cows. Because of such pious activities, I have now become the son of a Brahmana. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that herein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that they are so pious that in the next life, they are going to be Brahmana. So basically, people generally consider covered man lowly members of society. But here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, and also Prabhupada confirms in the purport that don't think that the covered mans are ordinary people, because Lord himself has taken birth in that dynasty. So here, that's why we cannot identify a devotee just by external appearance. So that is the message. We are searching who is a pure devotee, but actually it is very, very difficult. You see, you go and see in all the dhams, the like Vrindavan Dham, Mathura Dham, and Jagannath Puri. There's so many saintly people. They are day and night. They are dedicated their lives to the worship of the Lordship. So it is very, very difficult that we cannot identify just by external appearance. The caste system has a specific purpose. If this scientific system is followed, human society will get the greatest benefit. Heeding these instructions by the Lord, people should serve cows and calves, and in return get ample quantities of milk. There is no loss in serving the cows and calves, but modern human society has become so degraded that instead of giving protection to the cows and serving them, people are killing them. How can they expect peace and prosperity in human society while committing such sinful activities? It is impossible. So it is very apt. Srila Prabhupada is telling that we are expecting the happiness and bliss, but we means some XYZ people, they kill the animals. So how the society can be happy and peaceful? So that's why back to the basics, Prabhupada emphasizes on the agriculture. Prabhupada gives assurance that by having few acres of land, by having the cows, bulls, and the animals, by serving them, our economic problem can be solved, and we can have good health, and we can have a long life, and we can preach the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, glories of Lord Krishna. Sarvajna kahe ami taha jane dekila tahate aishwarya deki pampara ailana. The astrologer said, what I saw in meditation was full of opulence, and therefore I was confused. So this astrologer is put into question because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking repeatedly questions, and he is unable, at one given time, he was confused. So that's what the astrologer is telling. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to be the same personality as Krishna, he was puzzled, however, about whether Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually the same person. So this is very, very apt. Even in many parts of the world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't know. Only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, people are getting aware that who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. People are doing the Sankirtana Yajna. So that's how the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming through each village and town. People are accepting the Krishna consciousness. So how great is our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Maharajas. And we see that further, Sei rupe dekhe ekakara khabu veda dekhu ye maya ya tomaram. I am certain that your form and the form I saw in my meditation are one and the same. If I see any difference, this is an act of your illusory energy. So this astrologer is meditating, and in the meditation, he is seeing all these things. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anyam. And further, it appears that the astrologer was already an advanced devotee, and when he came into the presence of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became perfectly self-realized and could see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are one and the same Supreme Person. So how glorious is this astrologer, Brahmana, because he could see the Lord face to face, and he could converse, or he can interact with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yahi haya se haya tumi tomake namaskara Prabhu tare prema diye kaila puraskara. The all-knowing astrologer concluded, whatever you may be or whoever you may be, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. By his causeless mercy, the Lord then gave him love of Godhead, thus rewarding him for his service. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Lord Krishna. That's why he's called as Mahavadannaya Avatar. Who can be greater than the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we must accept the statement of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that whatever the Chaitanya Bhagavat did not mention, he has especially mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrta. So we are followers of Srila Prabhupada. We are into this movement. So how fortunate we are. How by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada we got this. So that's why here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami given more details. But also Vrindavan Das Thakur also glorified the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we should all aspire to read Chaitanya Bhagavat also. So in the verse 115, Ekadina Prabhu Vishwa Mandape Vasiya Madhu Ana Balena Dakiya. One day the Lord sat down in the corridor of a Vishnu temple and began calling very loudly, "Bring some honey, bring some honey." Nityananda Goswami Prabhura Avesha Janile Ganga Jala Patra Ani Samukhe Darile. Nityananda Prabhu Goswami, understanding the ecstatic mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, brought a pot of Ganges water as a token and put it before him. Jalapana kariye nache hana vihavalam Yamuna Akarshana Lila Dekhaya Sakala. So here in the translation, after drinking the water, Lord Chaitanya became so ecstatic that he began to dance. Thus everyone saw the pastimes of attracting the river Yamuna. So here, since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the original form of Baladeva, in his Leela, Baladeva was accompanied by his girlfriends. After drinking a honey beverage called Varuni, he wanted to jump into the Yamuna and swim with the girls. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.65, 25 verse 25 to 30 and 33 that Lord Baladeva asked the Yamuna to come near, and when the river disobeyed the order of the Lord, he became angry and thus wanted to snatch her near to him with his plow. The Yamuna, however, very much afraid of Lord Balarama's anger, immediately came and surrendered unto him, praying to the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and admitting her fault. She was then excused. This is the sum and substance of Yamuna Akarshana Leela. The incident is also described in the prayer of Jayadev Goswami concerning the 10 incarnations. So in the Dashavatara, Jayadev Goswami glorifies Vahasi Vapusi Visade Vasanam Jaladambam Alahati Biti Milita Yamunabam Keshava Druta Halagara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. So here Nityananda Prabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked for honey, he gave the Ganges water. And also Nityananda Prabhu is none other than Balram. And the Balram is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is a Sevaka Bhagavan. He is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here Prabhupada mentions that like how Krishna had gopis, similarly Balarama also has his girlfriend. And when Yamuna Devi is not giving the way, when she is not coming, then Baldeva, he threatened with the plow, and then Yamuna Devi came and took shelter of Baladeva. So here further, Madha Mata Gati Baladeva Anukara Acharya Shekhara Tandre Deki Ramakara. When the Lord in his ecstasy of Baladeva was moving as if intoxicated by the beverage, Advaita Acharya, the chief of the Acharyas, Acharya Shekhara, saw him in the form of Balarama. Verse 119, Vanamali Acharya Deke Sonara Langalam Sabe Mili Nitya Kare Avesha Vihavalam. Vanamali Acharya saw a golden plow in the hand of Balarama, and the devotees all assembled together and danced, overwhelmed by ecstasy. Hey Mata Nitya Haila Chari Prahara Sandhaya Ganga Snana Kari Saba Gela Garam. In this way, they danced continuously for 12 hours, and in evening they all took bath in the Ganges and then returned to their homes. So with this note, I want to conclude here in the Chaitanya Charitamrta Adilila 9.41. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janmayar Janma Sarthaka Kari Kara Para Upakar. So one who has taken his birth as a human being in the form, in the land of India, Bharat Varsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. So that is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is the mission of ISKCON, and our founder Acharya has given this mood and mission to us, so that by the mercy of the previous Acharyas, by the mercy of Guru Varga, we can make this human form of life sublime, because we have taken birth in the Bharat Varsha. So it is our great responsibility that we need to get purified by the Acharya's mercy, by the book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat, and then we can give this message to the needy people. In the current world, so much of ignorance, so much of fallen conditioned souls are there. So we can give this, we can be part in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, so that we can also get the eternal benefit, and we can give the to others also. With this note, I will conclude. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavand ki jai, Caitanya Charitamrta class ki jai. Over to Ramananda Kanai Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Very well, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Wonderful class. The beautiful description of wonderful pastimes. I have a question to all the audience. Based on Prabhu's class, we heard that how astrologer has identified Krishna, not directly, but he was a bit confused. Then Lord Chaitanya has revealed partially that he is the Supreme Lord, without telling that he is the Lord. He said that in the previous life I was a coward boy. He didn't say that I was a coward boy Krishna. He said I was only coward boy. So he says very important point, which is a message for all of us today, is that he said, in previous life as a coward boy, I served cows and brahmanas. So I got this life. I taken birth in Brahmana's family. So as son of a Brahmana, I took life birth. So then Prabhu has added a point there that astrologer was very fortunate that he could see the Lord face to face. He could speak to the Lord face to face. This is what Prabhu has explained. My question is, between us and the astrologer, who is the most fortunate and why? Between us and the astrologer, who is most fortunate and why? Anybody is open question to all, including Nitya Prabhu.
We are very fortunate, Prabhu, that much.
Why?
Because
Why?
we are getting all the cream essence in a nutshell in the Chaitanya Charitamrta, just by hearing the pastimes of the Lord's childhood pastime. It's so nectarian. So that's why.
No, my question is with reference to the association, because he saw the Lord personally, whereas we couldn't. So from the association perspective, who is fortunate and why?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, we are fortunate because even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told he was the cowherd boy in previous life. So the astrologer considered him as a cowherd boy. But we know the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if many astrologer tells about, so we the conviction that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that will remain in our mind. So in that way we are fortunate, and also we are fortunate. Mahaprabhu, the astrologer has seen him personally, but we are also seeing Mahaprabhu in the pages of the Chaitanya Charitamrta, and we are discussing this in the association of the devotees also. That is also very important too.
Darshan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, both are fortunate. Now, however, because the astrologer is Parshad of the Krishna, he takes part in the Leela, in the Krishna Leela as well, and now is taking part in the Leela of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So he's basically the Parshad of the Krishna who comes with the Krishna and they goes with them. And for us, that one, that's why his name is Chaitanya Charita also mentioned. For us, we are fortunate here with this Kali Yuga, we can hear this Leela and be association with that and can take this rest, and we can understand that although today we are not the Parshad of the Krishna or Gauranga Prabhupada, we can become that one. It's not, that has been taught by the Mahaprabhu himself, that how can we do bhakti and can approach him. So both are fortunate in their own positions, what I said. The comparison will be, if you compare the both of course, he has approached, already reached his goal, and we are on the journey of the goal. So that is the difference.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? I'm still missing one point. Anybody else? Caitanya Mataji. Nirjakshi Prabhu. Someone exalted devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Mataji from Prabhuji. Both are fortunate, as Prabhuji mentioned. Only thing that we are following the instruction of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and following the Harinam Japa. So that is what we are doing it in addition, we can say. So that way we may be considered more fortunate if we compare, but if comparison is okay then.
You are very close to the answer. Let me add my version. Yes, we are more fortunate. I also agree with Udarshan Prabhu that both are equally fortunate. But the problem with us is that we are not realizing how fortunate we are. Because, see, at the end, Nitya Prabhu has concluded the class with the statement that Lord has given this holy name, and we are all having an opportunity to distribute the holy name. So from this context, if you see, Lord and Lord's name are not different. So astrologer has personally associated with the Lord, and he was discussing with him face to face. So he was fortunate, that is fine. But in no way that we are less fortunate than him, because we have the holy name. We have the holy name given by the Lord himself, and we have an opportunity to see the Lord every day face to face, but we are not. So what we are seeing, either we are using this finger to browse WhatsApp or many messages. This finger is condemned for chanting. So that we are taking the advantage of using this finger for something else. So we are not realizing how fortunate we are, even though we are associating with the Lord face to face. We are seeing the Lord face to face, because first of all, we as preachers, we should have a strong faith that Lord and Lord holy name are not different. We are preaching, but when it comes to the practical aspects, that faith is not turning into the realization. So we are just chanting so mechanically that we are forgetting what we preach, that Lord and Lord in the holy name are not different. We are preaching. We are very active in preaching that. But when it comes to practice, they say that, okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. We want to finish the 16 rounds and leave the mala in the rack or hang it to the wall. So we are not considering, we are not realizing how fortunate we are. We are equally fortunate as the astrologer, because we are also associating with the Lord in the form of holy name, and we are seeing him face to face. He is there, he's sitting with us, he's dancing on our tongue, but we are not realizing that. So when we realize this, what we preach, we are all aware that holy name Krishna are different, but we are not realizing. We are just we are telling, but we realize and then start associating with the holy name as we chant. Then we realize, we understand how fortunate we are, that we got an opportunity by mercy of Chaitanya Prabhu and Acharyas, that we are also associating with the Lord. We are no less fortunate than this astrologer. So this is a small point, small relation I thought of sharing. Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's a wonderful class today. So, Prabhuji, who is our next week speaker?
Sripada Mataji.
Sripada Mataji, yes.
Jai. Sripada also is in India. So both are in India. Actually, I have my brother's son's marriage. So he came to India this after 2 days, for 4 days marriage is there. So I'll be in India till end of the month. So I'll be in touch with those devotees in India and take their blessings and try to take association for them. So thank you very much, Nitya Prabhu, for today's wonderful class. And we'll continue the session with the Sripada's class next week.